Hello and welcome to this week's Countryside podcast here on Manx Radio with Kiri Kermode and myself, Simon Clark. And you've been away, Kiri?
Yes, popped over to the Highland Show with some sheep and had a great time. Didn't come back with any ribbons this time, but we've got our local shows coming up with the Southern District and the Royal Manx soon, so we'll have another go there.
Yeah, well, I've been out and about, being entertained and taken part in a brand new event that came to Derby at the Derby Parish Hall. A variety concert that was put on, featured young and old, and what wonderful talent that's in Derby as well, Kiri. And it's great that they've had the chance to put it out to the public.
It's really, really great because there's so many young people and children in Derby as well, and it gives them a chance to perform, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And it's so nice to have lots of other events on in different parts of the Isle of Man, and it gives people an excuse to get out and see a bit more. Yeah,
and you learnt a lot more about nutrition and animal feeds, not just on the farm.
No, this is right. Dog nutrition is right up there as well with all the rest of the animals now. And I caught up with Pamela Goldie, a very knowledgeable lady in dog nutrition and how significant their diets are to longevity and just leading a healthy life.
Yeah, another fellow that lead a mighty life he had his saw out at the concert. Eric Gooley, or Goldie to lots, but he was there playing the saw. Magnificent he is at it as well. So I caught up with him. That's all packed into this week's Countryside on here on Manx Radio. So here it is. Well, one new thing, well, it's not quite brand new, but the sort of feeding part of animals has been a talking point, well, I suppose in the last 50 years, and, what to feed animals on the farms, what to give this, can we swap to this? And it's getting the same with pets and animals now, isn't it?
It really is. Nutrition is a massive thing in the agricultural industry, and every farmer now knows one or has one, especially in the dairy industry in particular. And now here on the Isle of Man, we have Manx Canine Cuisine with Pamela Goldie, and I caught up with Pamela just after the first birthday of this new company.
It started long before that, to be honest, about 7 years ago with my own dog, Tia, over there. She's a cross between a bulldog and a German shepherd. Very unusual, but she is the love of my life. I got her spayed, responsible dog owner, and after she was spayed and we brought her home, she started developing rashes on her tummy and sores between her paws, and she was really itchy, and we had no idea why. So took her back to the vet, and we tried some steroids and creams and antibiotics, and 6 months of her being so uncomfortable and in pain. So with me having quite a lot of time on my hands, I decided to do some research myself and find out what was going on with her. We tried everything at the vet, nothing was working. A couple of weeks worth of research, and I found that everybody suggested trying on a raw food diet. She was eating what everyone else fed their dogs at the time, dry dog food with tinned wet food. And this is what it was all in the supermarkets, and we were feeding no different than anybody else. So I researched this and tried her on it for a couple of weeks, and the difference was amazing. Within 2 weeks, her skin had cleared up, she'd stopped itching, her paws had cleared up, there were just a few little red marks, and it was like, wow, it was like wonder food.
That's a huge life-changing effect for that dog, because she was so ill, and just a little bit of research. But what do you think that the raw diet has that's different from the supermarket ones?
Simple, fresh, live nutrients. There's nothing else in it that has any different. The live nutrients, her body accepts and utilises better. Some of the way that the commercially prepared foods are prepared creates other chemicals and lack of nutrients, so therefore they add in artificial nutrients, which most dogs' bodies can't absorb properly. With her being a carnivore, she needs lots of meat, and a lot of commercial foods are very carb-based, high-carb diets, and her body just doesn't need that. It's wrong for her. And putting on a fresh food diet changed that. Her body suddenly went, wow, this is great. Thank you.
And this is where your idea for the Manx canine cuisine came from then?
Eventually, yes. I mean, initially, I just wanted to research this more. And because I did have lots of time on my hands, it was Google crazy. It was hard work at first. You don't know what websites and what information and what studies are true, what are correct, what are people's views or actual studies. So you have an awful lot to troll through before you actually find the information that you want.
And now you've set up a business here in Douglas, providing these diets for other people's dogs. Has it been a success?
Absolutely. Unbelievable success. We've got so many people now converting their dogs onto a fresh diet, fresh food diet, that's what all it is. And the changes in the dogs are unbelievable. We've got people that have got dogs that they think, they're happy, they're in good condition. They change to a raw diet and they can't believe the difference. Shinier coats, cleaner teeth, no bad breath, less itching. Unbelievable. More energy, more relaxed dogs as well, believe it or not. Dogs tend to be more relaxed and listen more, and their behaviour changes on a raw food diet as well.
So it obviously makes them think a lot more clearer then, doesn't it? It just changes the whole aspect and outlook for them. You don't, because they can't talk, you really have to monitor them. And this, I suppose, is a great indicator.
It is, yeah. It changes their physical behaviour, their mental behaviour. Everything about the dog changes for the better. They're healthier, they will live longer, less vet bills, everything about a fresh food diet for our dogs is no different than a fresh food diet for us.
Well, that's it. And we all have, dicky tummies or intolerance to lots of things. And if these guys can't tell us, then, it can be going on for years untold, can't it? But how difficult was it, Pamela, to set up the business?
Initially, it was really quite difficult because our island doesn't have any laws or regulations regarding pet food. So we struggled at first to find out what rules and regulations to follow, what to look for. So we initially went for a human hygiene food business. If we followed those guidelines, we knew we were doing the right thing by our dogs. Just because they're dogs doesn't mean to say they need anything less than we do where it comes to hygiene and the way we prepare and look after their food.
And you have obviously done your studies as well. You've taken on classes and, found the knowledge that you need as a nutritionalist as well to do this.
I've studied with the British College of Canine Studies and the Centre of Excellence and have my diploma in canine nutrition. I am studying a Master Herbalist course as well for, holistic health for our dogs as well, and another couple of courses just to support the nutritional side of it. It's a never-ending study. I think this will go on and on. We're learning new things every week, month, year about nutrition in our dogs' bodies.
So obviously it's a significant part of your business to have this backup of the nutritional history.
It is, yeah. I mean, we know so little about us as pet owners, about how our dogs' bodies work. We have us as omnivores that can eat a huge range of food, to dogs that, are they omnivores, are they carnivores, are they, where are they on the scale? They're actually a little bit in the middle between an omnivore and a carnivore. They're called facultative carnivores, which means that they're not obligate carnivores like cats who require just meat to live. They will eat naturally vegetables and fruit and berries and nuts in their diet in the wild. Foxes are part of the canid family. They are natural omnivores. And wolves are more on the obligate side. They will eat mostly meat, but they will still eat berries and fruits that have fallen from the trees as part of their diet.
You really don't think that, do you? Because you always have this stereotypical image of a dog eating a bone, and that is it. But, Pamela, you're going to have to settle the argument. Chocolate, is it good or bad for your dog?
It's very bad. You should never feed your dog chocolate. End of story. There is a chemical in it, and it's called theobromine, and the dog's body struggles to expel this from its body. So what it does when you feed your dog chocolate is it builds up, and it can build up to toxic levels. So even the odd chocolate biscuit or something like that is a no-no for your dog. The grapes one as well, we'll feed the grapes one. We don't actually know why grapes are toxic to dogs, and they're not toxic to all dogs. But because you don't know which dogs are and which dogs aren't, allergic to grapes, we say don't feed them at all.
Goodness me. So how do you choose your recipes? Because obviously you have to have fruit, nuts, seeds, meat. It's a big spectrum of recipes you can choose.
There is. First of all, I studied all the ingredients that go into our food, our dog's food. Meat, chicken, beef, lamb, the nutrients in all the meat. The same with the vegetables and the fruit and the herbs. Find out what nutrients our dog's body needs, and then put them together through that to make sure that they have enough vitamin A, vitamin B1 and calcium, phosphorus, iron, all those, even the little macronutrients like iodine and selenium, those are needed by your dog's body. Without them, the certain parts of their health suffer, and we don't see it for a very long time. It can build up and build up over years, and you don't know your dog is poorly until it gets too late, because they've been suffering from lack of nutrients for a very long time.
And do you have a favourite recipe though? Out of all of these things, do you find that your dogs particularly like a certain one?
I do, yeah. We have one that we call our 4 meats. It is our multi-meat. It's called our multi-meat now. And it's at least 4 different meats in the recipe, along with some veggies, some fruit, herbs that we grow here in the garden, and some oil, a little bit of garlic, which can be given to dogs, and that seems to be the favourite. So the dogs get a little bit of everything, which is more healthier than sticking to one meat.
And how do you go about sourcing your materials, Pamela? Because obviously 4 different types of meat have got to come from somewhere.
Yeah, we try and buy as Manx as possible. Our Manx farmers provide us with some of the best meat in the world, and we love our Manx farmers. Their ethos on the way they raise their animals is second to none, and that shows in the meat, the quality of the meat and the nutrients in it, which is what we get for our dogs. The only thing we can't source is poultry on the island, which we have to find in the UK, but we source that locally as well. We use our local supermarkets, and we always buy human grade. All our meat has all been certified fit for human consumption, so it's the same stuff that you or I eat.
People always think they have to cook the meat, kill whatever in case it affects us or the dogs. This is perfectly safe for them, the raw meat.
No, raw food is perfectly fine for them. They have a very short digestive tract, which is a carnivore's digestive tract, which means the food passes through it really quickly. Now, this is one of the reasons why they can eat raw food. It doesn't stay in the gut long enough for any bacteria that may be on the meat to start grow and multiply. It goes through very quickly. Secondly, they have a very acidic tummy. The gastric juices are on a pH level of about 1 or 2, which is like battery acid. This dissolves meat and bone really efficiently, which absorbs all the nutrients from it very quickly. For us, when we're handling raw food for our dogs, use the same hygiene you do when you're cooking your Sunday lunch. You don't mix it with your any of your own food. You wash the counter afterwards, you wash your hands before handling and after handling. Pick up the dog's bowls afterwards and give them a wash, and then everything's absolutely fine. You've got no worry about any contamination or any bugs or anything passing on to humans.
Obviously, this sounds, a lot of labour-intensive work, Pamela, getting all of these dishes ready for your customers. Is it a lot more expensive for them than down at the supermarket?
Yes, there is no if and buts about that. Meat is not cheap, and the quality that we use is, I think, second to none, not only on the island, but throughout the UK. But it's worth it, I think. I think our dogs deserve this. We buy them beautiful coats and we spend a fortune on insurance, and we take them to the groomers and spend £60 on the groomers. But then when it comes to feeding them, we go to the grocery store and we buy the cheapest pack of dried food that we can find, and our dogs, being who they are, will eat it. You know, they have to live. They can survive on dry food, but they thrive on raw.
And you were saying earlier the longevity of the dogs. You've seen it over the years that some of the breeds, like a Labrador, maybe doesn't live so long as before. And you believe this is down to their diet, Pamela?
Yes, there's a study that came out recently that was on golden retrievers, I think it was. And it found that they've lost up to about 35% of their lifespan in the last 40 years. So our Labradors and Retrievers that used to live till they were 16, 17 years of age in our grandparents' times are now dying at the age of 13. And they shouldn't be. Our small little dogs should be living till they're 20. You know, medical science in veterinary care is on a par with human medical science at the moment. We are living much longer lives, but not eating healthy either. Mm-hmm. And our dogs are living shorter lives. No, that's not right. And it comes down to what we put in them, their food.
And I suppose this kind of going back in history, the raw diets is probably what our grandfathers and great-grandfathers used to feed their dogs, especially working dogs on the farms would be maybe had more access to rabbits and different meat products more so. Do you think this has gone full circle?
It's starting to go full circle, yeah, I hope so. I hope people start doing their own research, you know, have a little look themselves to see. Sometimes taking someone else's word for it is not enough. Try your dogs, you know, see what changes it does to them. If it's really expensive and you've got more than one dog, well, maybe a couple of days a week, feed them fresh food, you know. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. If you can't, you know, if you're struggling financially or you have a budget to follow, you can still maybe feed them some commercial food in the morning and give them a raw in the afternoon. You know, there are ways and means around it. Our dogs have been dogs for somewhere in the region of 30,000 years. That's when wolves were first brought into our camps and we started converting them into dogs. For somewhere in the region of 29,900 years, they've been eating fresh, raw meat and bones. Now, only in the last 100 years have we been forcing them high carb, processed, cooked food on them. Only in the last 100. They've survived quite happily for nearly 30,000 years without it, and we need to convert them back.
And do you believe that the nutrients in this processed food, is it still there as strong as it should be?
No, by the time processed food has gone through all the rigmarole of being cooked for days and in huge vats, there's no nutrients left whatsoever. All the nutrients are added afterwards, and it's artificial. So our dogs, sometimes from when they are weaned till the day they die, live on nothing but artificial nutrients. That's like you living on a bowl of cornflakes with a couple of bottles of vitamins from when you were a baby till you're 80 years of age. I don't think you'd be healthy.
No, not at all, not at all. But your range of recipes, Pamela, is quite extensive now. You've really got something for everybody. And how do you keep coming up with the ideas?
I test them on my own dogs. We keep searching for the availability of the food, first of all. If we find something that's new and available, we've got some zebra in the freezer that we're going to have a little try out to see what that's like. We've got some wild boar just gone in our recent cat food mix. And we have other nutrients. We've just started a venison one. So it's all about availability, what we can find and what's available to us and what's affordable. The price we have our food now, it is at the top range, but it's worth it. The quality is literally, as we said, second to none. It includes everything your dog needs, all the nutrients, including the fruits, the veggies, the herbs, the oils. It has everything, so you don't have to add anything.
Do you, Pamela, when you get a new customer and obviously they bring their dog round, do you do any assessments, or is it literally just what the owner's information tells you?
A bit of both, actually. If we've got a healthy dog and our owner just wants to switch to raw, we will provide them. We normally start off on our full meats, which is our favourite one and our most purchased one, and see how the dog gets on with it. And we let them acclimatise over a period of about 1 to 2 months generally, which is how long sometimes it takes a dog's tummy to convert from how it's behaving on the commercial food to how it needs to behave naturally. And once we've got to the end of that 2 months, we can start introducing other flavours, a chicken, a beef, a pork, a venison, a duck, and then we can start introducing bone as well to keep their teeth clean and give them something to do recreational wise. But occasionally we get some sick animals in that have illnesses, diabetes, or that may be overweight, that have pancreatitis, or even some dogs that we have that come through to us through the vets that have other illnesses. Then we provide, with consultation with the vets, we build up a recipe or a meal specially designed for that dog. So it's to support them in getting better. It's not a medical diet or anything like that. It's just designed for them and their needs to help them get better.
And obviously that's essential for us as humans, so it must be essential for the dogs to get a balanced diet. Now, people can look out for you online, Facebook, the regular places.
Yes, our website is now complete, and the shop is on there as well, so you can go shopping. Our Facebook page is there for help and advice. You can also book a consultation from our Facebook page. All the consultations that we provide are free. It doesn't matter who it's for, or even occasionally what food they want to feed their dogs, because sometimes I try and split the nutritional person in me and the food seller. If a dog needs help nutritionally and they can't afford to feed our food, then we will help them build a healthy diet using other foods. We're not restricted to just our one. I was a nutritionist first before a food seller. That came through need more than anything else.
And obviously Tia has benefited greatly from it, because she's absolutely gorgeous running around here today, and you would never believe that anything had ever been wrong with her. So it just speaks volumes, doesn't it?
It is, and she's just recently had a health check as well. She's just turned 8, and she's just had a health check and got a clean bill of health from our vet.
And that sells the product itself, doesn't it? But they are like our children. They are so important, and if we want them to live with us for as long as possible, this has to be a way forward.
It does. Our dogs are becoming very unhealthy. They are suffering illnesses and diseases they shouldn't have. They don't smoke, they don't drink, they exercise more than we do, and their diet should be like ours, fresh and natural. But many people don't understand or don't know that the food that they are feeding their dog is doing them more damage than good.
So moving forward, Pamela, how do you see the business developing now? You've got some wonderful recipes. I see you use whole animals as well in some of your recipes too. How far can it go?
Much further, I hope. We've started nice and slowly. We have plans for the future. At the moment, we are exactly where we need to be. But what we do as well is we support a rescue on the island called Aid Rescue. We often get, very rarely, but occasionally on the island, dogs are abused or neglected, and they are very poorly and sick. The really poorly ones and the really abused ones will often come down here to me to be looked after. They will be helped out by our island vets for medical help, and nutritionally I will then build them back up again. Once they've been released or once they've been handed over to us legally, then we will find them new homes. We've done this a few times, and we will continue to do it as well and support them.
That is a huge sense of achievement, isn't it? You must be ever so proud that you can turn around, a very poorly dog.
Yes, it is. It really is. We work alongside our island vets with this, and we work really well together. But we've had some really poorly and injured dogs in, and you would not believe them when they leave. They are bouncy, happy, healthy, and hopefully go on to live very long lives.
So our listeners can find all this information on your website, Pamela. If you just give them a recap of that.
Yes, our website is manxcanine.com, and our Facebook page is Manx Canine Cuisine, and we are there to help.
That was Pamela Goldie from the Manx Canine Cuisine.
It's one of them things that I suppose when you start it off, you're not sure how it's going to go, but a lot of people are going in that way, in that direction, aren't they?
It's really
good setup she's got there.
Oh, it's a brilliant setup that Pamela's got, and it's a really great idea because obviously the vets can only do so much, but if we can try a bit at home by changing the diet, just like ourselves, if we eat more healthy, we feel better. Maybe it's the same for dogs, and Pamela has proven that with the nutritional courses that she goes on. She's got a diploma now, she's got all of the history behind it and continuing all of her learning to improve this side of the dog's health, and she's having great case studies coming out of it as well, Simon.
They do. We use it for ours.
Do you now?
We do. Well, Kiri, Derby had something new, and it involved another Goldie. I don't think they're related. Eric Goldie, who was one of the guest performers at a variety concert put on at the Derby Parish Hall by the Derby and Northern Community Initiatives. A wonderful event. I was privileged enough to be asked to take part in it and get to see all the other acts from young and old, and the same with the audience as well, which we'll talk about afterwards. But Eric Goldie was one of the fellas performing on stage with his famous saw, and I got a chat with him afterwards, and firstly, I asked him how many times, or when was the last time he'd been in this hall at Derby?
Never.
Never?
Never. And I've gone past it for, I suppose, the last 70-odd years, longing to get in it. You know.
Very similar to the Andrus one.
Yes, that's called the pot, though, is it?
Oh,
it's still going.
She's still going,
It's
all
still
right.
going.
You played in there, though, have you?
Never.
No, that one either.
No, only the British dead, but I do.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's an honour to have the saw and yourself up here this evening, then.
Well, it went rusty for the want of, you see. Like me, I'm all full of rheumatism and knackered and old, and, you know, well, we're getting on a bit, you see.
You've been playing that saw quite a while now, though.
31 years.
Really? And what made you start that?
Jack and Peggy Watson from the south.
Yeah.
And Jack was in the army, in the proper war like us were, and when he came out of the army, he must have picked a sword up somewhere, and I was interested in it.
Was he playing it then?
Oh yes,
Yeah.
And Peggy was playing the accordion with him, like, you know, keeping in tune, or in check, one or the other.
Yeah.
And the other fellow, I remember, going back, it's got to be over 70 years ago, was Mr. Kelly from Onken. He was the first one I ever heard. And I think there's a fellow called Cannell, Mr. Cannell from Laxey, still alive, I think.
Right.
So there's only 2 or 3 of us on. I have had to teach myself, because poor Jack and Peggy, well, Jack died before I got a chance to learn what to do. So I've learnt myself.
Right. What sort of saw? Do you play various lengths of ones?
That's a 36 inch.
The big doubles one.
That is a musical saw, that one.
Right.
But if you go to Calton Cowley on a lucky day, you might be able to buy one.
Really?
Yes. I went to Farmer's Combine, is it, in Ramsey a couple of days ago, see if I could get one. You know, because the granddaughter's learned what she'd like to learn, you know.
Well, she was up there today with you,
Well,
wasn't
that's
she?
only a little dangerous little saw, that.
Right.
That was only a cow, like, to be there. She wants to join in, you see. And they had none in. No, they're a fashion, I think, aren't they? There's nearly all bush saws nowadays.
Right.
You know, there's no flat saws. I call them a flat saw, I don't know what you call them. Maybe it's a flat saw.
Anyone as long as it's sharp.
As long as it's not my flat.
But it is still surprises many people, though, Eric, that you can get a tune out of them, isn't it?
Well, Noel Kringle and the late John Kenrick had that saw, must be over 10 or 12 years ago, in John Kenya's cow house till the early hours in the morning, and he never got a tune out of it.
Really?
Really, yeah.
He tried and tried.
They tried and they couldn't get a tune out of it. Yeah. So I suppose it's an art, maybe.
Well, he was a singer.
He was a singer, yes, and they're useless at anything else.
You don't sing and play the saw, though?
I was never allowed to sing
No.
at high school. You know, out of 700 of us, the music teacher, I don't remember her name now, but she was a nasty little bit in them days. You know,
Aye.
she'd pick you out and tell you to keep your mouth shut until the assembly was over.
So for the people who have never seen it happen, I mean, you've got the saw there.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you play it with?
A bow,
Like a violin bow?
violin bow, or a hobo bow, what do you call them? Other big thing that sits on the ground they play.
You have to rosin her up, no?
Yes, you got to have a. Yep, I get that in Douglas,
Aye.
our music centre place.
But it must be quite nice to be still asked to a place like this, especially one that you
Well,
haven't been in before,
I did
eh?
my best, but the rheumatism was getting the better of me now, you see. My feet and all.
All right, getting job to howler.
Couldn't howler now, you say?
No.
No.
And how many cuts have you had over the years?
None.
No?
No.
Oh, you've
No.
done all right then.
Yeah. Well, when we were Cloncavarty, like, before I retired, like, I used to go in the cow house and play at night, so I wouldn't be disturbing Emmerdale or something like that, you know. Or
Well,
Corrie.
Them days are gone now.
Them days are definitely gone. Oh,
Anyway, it's
night,
fantastic.
girls.
It's fantastic to see you here, Eric,
Yep.
anyway.
God bless you, and God bless all who's listening.
Eric Goldie, and I think his granddaughter up on the stage there in the saws with them bows all rosined up and mighty, because he was, like he was saying there, people have tried for weeks to try and get tunes out of it and they can't, and he manages it, doesn't he?
He really
You've seen him in
does.
action, haven't you?
I have, up at the Braid. Most years Eric will come with a saw, and you can hear a pin drop, Simon, when he gets on that stage, all in anticipation to see if he can do it. And my golly, he can do it really, really quite well. And it's a beautiful sound when it's done right, isn't it?
Yeah, you can't get the type of saws now, that's who you're saying.
It's unbelievable. But the shine on it and getting the horse bow in the right position, you'll be practicing away. Oh no, that's not quite good enough, and try again. And great entertainment.
You're listening to Countryside here on Manx Radio with Kiri Kermode and myself, Simon Clark. Well, on the entertainment stage, amongst many things, we mentioned Eric Goldie there with his saw. There was the bagpipe players there. The Irish dancers were all involved in that. Kitty, Timmy and also Imogen all performed really, really well. There was some poetry read. And also Kayla did a wonderful piece of singing in there as well. Only such a young age, she did so well. And not the greatest acoustics in that hall. And little Reuben Lister, he opened the concert up. I think he's about 5. And played Twinkle Twinkle on the accordion.
My goodness me. But
absolutely
isn't it a
wonderful.
great platform though, Simon, for these young people to get a chance to perform? They might really, really like it, or they might never like it again. But what an opportunity for them.
Yes, it was indeed. And I went and spoke to the central coordinator for the Derby and Northern Community Initiatives, Angela Quaggan, when it had all finished and just about everyone had gone home, to get her thoughts on how the event had gone. Well, it's been a first for Derby, Angela.
That definitely a first and definitely a learning vertical, I would say. An enjoyable evening, but yeah. But by crikey, we've been fortunate with lots of people coming together to make it happen.
Yeah, and there was looking at, because we've been following it, obviously, and been involved in it, and a week and a half ago, maybe, you were celebrating selling 8 tickets.
I think a week and a half ago, when we were on a big fat 0, yes, 8 tickets seemed like just like an absolute marvel. But we managed to, I think, not including performers, 98 in the audience this evening. So that's better than the 0 that we started with.
pretty impressive. And some interesting ones as well. Eric there with the saw and the bagpipe player. Let's give him a mention.
I absolutely, yeah. We're very thankful for everybody that's given the time, and it's people giving their time to come up and do so. But Fad, absolutely brilliant. He was great, and I very nearly had a moment that bagpipes notoriously reduce me to tears because I just get a little bit emotional. It was
really
great. Yeah.
There was plenty of noise from him in the hall like this, certainly. Anyway,
I had my reservations about unleashing bagpipes in the Derby Parish Hall. I was slightly concerned about the acoustic effect that it might have, but it was brilliant, and it was a joy to see, watching the kids clapping and dancing along.
Yeah, but the audience that came along, some of the kids were performing in it as well, were dancing and singing as well. They weren't scared to take part.
No, gosh, absolutely not. And lots of people had asked me if I'd be doing anything, and I thought, well, that's quite funny because no, that will be a hard, firm no. But a lot of respect, and we had one of our local girls, Kayla. And she was doing the sound check today, and I was stood outside and had to pop my head back in because I just couldn't believe it was her singing. Beautiful voice, really proud. They've all done themselves proud.
Yeah, and the great thing that she did, Kayla, there was the CD was skipping a bit and she still didn't lose the nerve and kept going. It was just brilliant.
Yeah, precisely what I said to her at the end of the mark of a pro, that there was a raise of the eyebrows when she realised what was happening, but she went on with it and was absolutely brilliant. And a few people commented on that too.
Yeah, well, all this, the money that's getting raised from these events, it's an initiative by the committee and the members for what?
We're reinvesting it in community projects. So once we've covered our costs of this evening, whatever we have left over in the pot will be reinvested into community events and activities. So it will be a case of people coming forward and saying, right, okay, this is what we'd like to see our money spent on. So we had looked at the BMX track, which we'd been trying to do something with, and perhaps putting some funding in towards that. But we really want to hear from people as what they would like to see happening within their community. So BMX is something that's on our radar, but we're open to suggestions.
And what about the feedback you've had now it's all over?
Oh yeah, great! It's there's still a stage to take down, but in terms of the feedback of the actual performance, even the greatest naysayers have actually stopped off on the way past and said, "Do you know what? I've actually had a really nice time, and it's thank you very much."
Well, it's a first and certainly something different, and hopefully this will happen again.
Oh, with a bit of tweaking and fine-tuning, yeah, it's something that we'd like to see repeated. Just making sure we've got the goodwill of people on board to get involved and do it again, because you can't make something like this happen on your Todd or even with just a committee. This isn't about Derby and Northern Community Initiatives. It's about just making the connections with the people who are willing and want to see something like this happening.
Well, I enjoyed hearing that countryside tonight, Kiri, because it's it makes you proud to live in Derby, hearing them youngsters and the older generation taking part and, more importantly, supporting the event. It was something new. And of course, it was a bit sceptical, how it was going to go down. But I think, you learn a lot from it.
Community is so important, isn't it? And we're so lucky on the Isle of Man. We don't have to go too far to join in. And what a great opportunity it was for Derby as well. It could be the start of many great successes there. Yeah,
you never know. And you've been learning, and we all learned a little bit about canine cuisine and everything like that to do with nutrition for animals, didn't we?
Well, this is it. Yeah. Who knew that, certain foods are poisonous for dogs and they build up and cause toxins and all told damage. And not everybody likes, vet medicine. They want a healthy option nowadays. Even for us, we're always looking for a healthy option to help ourselves. So why not help our pets as well?
The vegan dog food will be next, won't it? So we'll leave it there for this week's Countryside until next week. So from me, Simon Clark.
And me, Kiri Kermode.
See you then. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.